So now that we know what the transformations are, we want to be able to talk about them. And it is important to note that the order matters. Okay, you do them in order of what affects x next. So in this one, first thing that happened to x is we minus 2, then we multiplied it by 3, then we added 5. So that's the order we're going to talk about things in. So when we minus 2 from the x, that is a translation. 2 units. And left, so negative, so you would think left, but no. Remember, these ones are the opposites, so that is right. Okay, so then we talk about the 3, so that is a dilation of factor or by factor 3 in direction of y-axis. So you can find those words on your cheat sheet. And then we're up to the next bit, which is the 5. So that's also a translation. 5 units. And it's positive, so that is up. And that's the sort of thing I want listed when you're talking about transformations. So once again, what order are we doing it? Well, first thing that happened to x, second thing, third thing. So we have a translation, 3 units left. Then this is a negative, so we don't care about dilation because it's not a number, it's a negative, which means it's a reflection around the x-axis. And then we have the minus 2, so that is a translation, 2 units down. And that's what we do when we talk about them. So we're still going to state the transformations, but then we're also going to sketch the graph of this one, because sketching a graph from a completed squared form is slightly different. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So we translated 6 units left, dilated by factor of 2 in y direction, and translated 1 unit up. Okay, so we can state the transformations. Awesome. So then we're still finding the same 3 things as we do when we're doing any quadratic graph. So the first thing, the y-intercept, is when x equals 0. So we're still just going to sub it in. It's just we solve it. Solving it's not as easy if you just have a polynomial, but still not hard. So we end up with 2, 6 squared is 36, plus 1, it ends up as 73. So that is our x-intercept. Alright, now the turning point is actually the easiest thing to get off these, because if you have the general function y equals ax minus h squared plus k, because we know this moves it left or right, if it's negative we would move right, which means h, it'd be a positive h would be our next new position, and this moves us up or down, so that tells us where our turning point moves. Okay, so that is your turning point right there. You don't have to do anything else. So turning point for this question is -6, 1. Done. Alright, then x-intercept is when y equals 0. So 0 equals 2, x plus 6 squared plus 1. So then we're going to rearrange. So I take 1 from both sides and then divide both sides by 2. Then my next step would be to square root. But can I square root a negative? I cannot. So I'm done. Which means there is no solution. There are no x-intercepts. Cool. Alright, so now I can graph that. So I have no x-intercepts, so I know it's either going to be almost touching or not touching at all, but we just stick our points in. So y-intercept is 73, turning point is -6 and 1, and then we just graph him. And there we go. So that's not too bad, just as easy as doing any other quad. Let's check another one. So once again, state the transformations. So we're not adding or subtracting anything to x, so the first thing to happen is the negative, and then we add 2. So we reflect about the x-axis, and then we translate 2 units up. So there are our transformations. Okay, y-intercept, x equals 0. So y equals 0 squared plus 2. So that's 2. Nice. Turning point, easiest thing to do. So we are not adding or subtracting anything to x, which means we haven't moved left or right anywhere. So we're still at x equals 0. And we have moved up 2. So now our y value is 2. So there's our turning point. Oh, hey, our turning point and our y-intercept are the same. Cool. Okay, then our x-intercepts. Y equals 0. So you can do this as a difference of 2 squares, or you can rearrange it. Your call. I'm going to rearrange it, so I take 2 from both sides. Then I'm dividing both sides by a negative. And then it's a square root. So I know my 2 points are those. Done. So now I can graph him. Okay, so 0, 2, and he's a negative graph, so he's reflected, we know that. So he's a frowny face. Oh, that was poorly drawn, sorry. And there we go. Not too hard. Alright, you are now on page 101, chapter 3e. Question 3, every second one. I would also like you to write the transformations, and you can check those with me if you aren't sure if you got them right or wrong.